Gentlemen, welcome to another day, another night, another week. Time continues despite people's best efforts, right? But I'm excited. We have a great cocktail on hand this week. I feel like it's really been a great season for cocktails so far, in my opinion. I think that's really the benefit after you've established a bar in your home with like the basic things like whiskey and gins and all those basic staples that we worked up with the last couple seasons. Now you can start having more fun with some of the things that you don't, drink in copious amounts, but when added to everything else can really make some interesting cocktails. It's been just wonderful. And this week is no different. So I had already planned this out before the podcast, so Nick can't take credit for this, but it is a drink involving the Luxardo, Maraschino Luxardo liqueur. So you're welcome, I suppose, Nick, that you get to finally use that. I was also going to mention, as far as the Luxardo, as far as the Maraschino liqueur goes, a video I made the first season of this before I started planning things out based on specific bottles. I did make a Hemingway daiquiri. I think it might be in the cocktail book we made, Nick. It's like my favorite version of a daiquiri, and it involves using this maraschino liqueur. So I'd give that one a try if you feel up to it sometime. And as far as mezcal goes, for Jen, it's probably not, I don't know if it's in the cocktail book or not, but I believe also that first season, I might have to go back and check, I made a cocktail called Going Out West that uses mezcal, and it's one of my favorite cocktails. I mean, it is a goddamn banger of a cocktail. So let me know if you want the instructions for that. If it isn't, I think there might be a video of it in the first season, so go back and check or ask me. Anyway, we're not talking about first season stuff. We're talking about this week, 4 season stuff, or whatever number it is. So this week, gentlemen, what we have is a Martinez. It's from 1884. The original recipe for this was a single sentence that just said, "Same as Manhattan, only you substitute gin for whiskey." Now, it's not quite that, because it's got the maraschino liqueur, which is not in a Manhattan, obviously. But it is the same principle, basically. Another idea is it's sort of it's a twist on a martini, much like a Manhattan is a twist on a martini, I suppose. But, the gin and vermouth is a common martini, obviously, and so this changes it up a little bit. But it's fantastic. It's a really great drink, and it's a really great example of what a little amount of certain things can do to a cocktail. As you'll see, this only uses a 1/4 ounce of maraschino liqueur, which is not very much of a pour into a cocktail, but it is noticeable. You will taste it, and it's great. So I'm excited for everyone to try it, and we will get started. And I think I do have maybe 1 question, maybe 2. Let me double check. Looks like just 1, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I mean, more questions are always better. So Brian wants to know, what's the most perfect temperature? Let's mull on that while we make this drink. It's going to start with a dash of orange bitters and a dash of Angostura bitters. Perfect temperature. Now, is this like the perfect temperature to be in, or the perfect temperature? I mean, there's so many things to figure out about that, because I think the most enjoyable temperature to just like sit in is probably like 70 degrees, solid, flat 70 degrees. But if it's like, what's the perfect temperature to sit on the patio at a restaurant in the sun and enjoy lunch and drinks with friends, it's like 65-ish, 64 depending, you get that sunlight in there, warm things up a little bit, and you're in conversation and stuff. What's the best temperature for like hot toddy? Well, it's got to be cold out. Or a hot buttered rum, like you can't drink that when it's hot out. I mean, you can, but who wants to? You want that? You want a chilly day for that, and sometimes it feels perfect. So It's kind of a weird question, Brian. And I'm going to say, yeah, I'll just stick with 70 degrees flat. Maybe a little cooler if you're going to be in the sunshine. So, there you go. Question answered. All right, a quarter ounce of maraschino liqueur. Haha, fun bottle. Also, Brian wanted me to critique the pod, which is, you know, I think I already did when I mentioned that, you know, artistic use of AI can essentially theft. It's, you know, just especially music, just compiling music that has been made by other actual musicians and not giving them credit or money for it, which is a bummer if you're an artist. You don't like to see that happen. But, and so talking about that, using the AI to get a soundtrack is kind of a bummer, but I don't know. I'm just curmudgeon-y sometimes, so I think when it comes to AI, I'm an old man shouting at the clouds, so nothing to be done about that, I suppose. Hi, Cuckoo. All right, now this recipe that I am listing calls for 1 ounce sweet vermouth and ½ an ounce dry vermouth. You're welcome to do that if you want to. You might recall when we made Manhattans that there is such thing as a mix of the perfect Manhattan, which is when you split dry and sweet vermouth in your Manhattan. I do like it a lot when I make a Manhattan, but for the Martinez, I prefer just this sweet vermouth. And so instead of 1 ounce sweet and ½ ounce dry, I'm just doing 1½ ounce sweet. So equal parts vermouth and gin, which everyone knows is one of my favorite things when a cocktail has equal parts involved. As far as the other parts of the pod, it was a good pod. It was a classic. There was a lot of like kind of inane talk that isn't wholly relative to the rest of the league and is mostly there to entertain the people, the participants of the podcast. But seeing as how all the participants are my friends, yeah, I enjoy to hear them enjoy themselves. Ah! Whoa! Yikes! But it was fun. It's always fun to listen to people talk about the league. Any content for the league, I'm all a part of. I felt bad for Pat. That phone call seemed unnecessary. But I do want to point out to everyone, maybe I wasn't the first, but I was an early messenger of Pat being like, hey, is this a bit? Because if it is, it's a really good bit. And so I wish he would have just not said anything to anyone, stonewalled everyone, and just continued to put out peach ripeness report updates that weren't actually updating anything. But the point is it's a great pod. And I like content for the league, so hooray. All right, now there's 1½ ounce gin. Most recipes will call for Old Tom style gin, which is probably my favorite kind of gin for most non-martini cocktails. Oh, as you can see, I've run out, but I have more. But obviously, you just use whatever gin you have. It'll be fine. Old Tom gin tends to be slightly sweeter, and occasionally it'll be a little stronger, like a tiny bit stronger. It just depends on the brand you get. But you don't have to use it if that's not what you have, you know. I will say that if you like are going out after this video to go buy gin and you're not sure what to get, Old Tom is what I use for most cocktails, like I said, other than martinis. The only reason I either have London Dry or Old Tom. Those are like the two I get. And London Dry I pretty much only use for like straight martinis. Otherwise I usually have Old Tom, but it can't go wrong with anything. And the thing about gin is it's very, like, brand to brand, it varies a great deal because it's very dependent on botanicals and spices and stuff. So, all right, folks, I'm gonna put ice in my mixing thing and mix this up. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I've got everything I need to finish this delicious cocktail. Yeah, no more questions. It's a little disappointing. I guess I didn't remind everybody. I think part of the reason I established at the beginning of the year that I was going to keep a normal schedule is that I wouldn't have to remind everyone once a week. to send in questions if they wanted to, but maybe nobody wanted to, which is fine. I'm just in it for the cocktails, you know. Yeah, I'm trying to remember anything else about the podcast I can say, but I wasn't offended that only Nick had been drinking all these cocktails. I kind of figure only a handful of people actually follow along, which is fine. Do whatever you want, you know. Oh, you're only punishing yourself if you're not enjoying these cocktails that I make, because they are all very good. I wouldn't steer anyone wrong. All right, now the final thing for a garnish. It does call for an orange peel. I like a lemon peel for this. Don't know why. I don't know. Sometimes it might call for one thing and I prefer another. I don't know. That's the great thing about cocktails, right? God damn it. Stupid fucking peeler. Is that you make things the way you want to, so that you can enjoy them. Plus, I tend to have lemons around more than oranges, because oranges are easy to get eaten. And lemons just are only pretty much there for my drinks. So, all right, gentlemen. Cheers. Martinez. Fuck. Yeah, there's only a handful of cocktails that really hit me like that. And this is one. Like I said, you can really, it's one of those cocktails where you can kind of taste each individual ingredient. So it's like the sum of the parts is better than the parts themselves, I think, but also the parts themselves are very much in line and noticeable in the sum. So it's a really great combination. All right, folks, I'll leave you to it. Enjoy your cocktails, enjoy your weekend. I'm mad that I lost last weekend, and there's nothing I can do about it now. So I'm hoping I'll win this weekend, because that's all you can control sometimes, is nothing at all, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. Good night.